Hi everyone, it's Betsy Eberly. Welcome family, welcome friends to Beginner Basics Yoga, class number 4. As the last time when we did our standing poses, we're going to continue with more standing poses. Before we get started, I just want to say that I hope wherever you are and whoever you're with, you're happy, you're healthy, you're enjoying your day, and that you're looking forward to practice. I really am. We'll start by getting a little bit of movement into the body. So you can come right into table, setting hands under shoulders and knees under hips. Making sure feet are parallel. Then we'll just start to move the body a little bit. So begin pressing through hands, reaching back as though you're going to child's pose, and then drawing yourself forward again. Let your head be fairly relaxed. Bring yourself forward, press yourself back. Just continue this movement for a few rounds, letting the head relax as you come down, and then feeling like the crown of the head is drawing forward as you come up. Come through center and just allow yourself to begin to move from side to side, keeping the hands and the knees where they are. And then start to reach left hip back toward the left, round through center, reaching the tailbone, and then start to circle toward the right. So we'll just take these hip circles. It doesn't matter what size they are, just getting a little bit of movement into the body. Do about 3 in this direction, then we'll stop through center and do 3 in the other direction. Stop through center, reverse the movement. This kind of helps open up the hips, work out some of those cobwebs from doing a lot of sitting, and just helps the breath start to move as well. We'll come through center back to table. I kind of moved myself a little bit when I was moving around, so I'm resetting my table. Press through hands, press through tops of feet. Feel like you're drawing your belly towards your back body. Reach your crown of the head toward the front of your mat. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back and down your back. Feel really strong through your whole body. Nice long spine. Curl through toes. Hover the knees. Lower them to tap. Hover the knees. Lower to tap. Last time. Hover knees. Start pressing through hands, and then let yourself move back towards a downward dog, letting your chest gently rest on your thighs for a few breaths with deeply bent knees. Then start to straighten your knees as much as is comfortable into a downward dog. Feet are about hip bone distance apart. Hands are about even with shoulders, but you can see I just moved my feet back. I'm going to widen my hands out. I feel a little bit better in my downward dog when I've got more room around my neck, a little more length through my body, so you can see my heels are not touching the ground. If I wanted them to, they could by drawing them more forward and pressing in. My body just doesn't feel quite as open that way, so I back up. Heels never have to touch the earth. Knees never have to be completely straight. Trying to feel nice and broad across the top of the body, trying to align the ears with the biceps. You can press into the edges of the pinkies and then the thumbs to feel strong. When you arrive in your downward dog and are comfortable, start to take a little movement through the back line of your legs, just bending and straightening, alternating, getting a stretch. Then come to stillness. Lift your right leg to hip height. Start to turn your right toes to the right and then feel like the whole leg follows from the hip socket until you feel like you're stacking hip over hip. Press through hands, really reach that foot back. Then bend the knee. You can either circle through your ankle or you can circle through your hip, kind of flossing that joint. Take about 3 circles in each direction, whether you're moving the ankle or the hip bone, the leg in the hip bone, I should say. Reverse your direction. Let the leg become still. Re-straighten the leg. Let the hip bones both face toward the earth, so square off. Bend through the right knee, and then bring your foot to between your hands. If you need your other hand, to just draw it forward, that's perfectly fine. Let your left knee come down to the ground. Uncurl your toes. You can bring your body up by either placing hand on thigh, or just lift up. From here, we can either align the knee over the ankle and the knee over the hip, or you can crawl that right foot forward. All we're going to be doing is taking movement forward and back to get into that hip flexor and to get into the back line of the right leg. So it doesn't matter if you're with the foot more forward, you'll just get more of an opening that way. If you've got yourself stacked, you'll get a little bit less opening, but it's not important. You have to kind of go with what your body is feeling. Don't ever press yourself to a point where you're not comfortable. I have some blocks here as props. They're yoga props. If you don't have anything like that at home, or if you don't have blocks at home, you can find something about the height. I just want to show you these for a moment. In classes, many times, we'll use props like these blocks. And this is something you can use, or something like this height-wise, that as you're taking your movement, you can have a little bit of support and your body's uplifted a little bit more rather than being down near the earth for support. So you can use those to assist you. Could be on different heights. You don't need them if you're just using a floor. You're down here, so it's a little bit deeper. But you can always just have your hands supported on your leg, so it doesn't matter that you're near the floor or not. You can also take movement through the hips, so maybe supporting yourself on the earth and then just letting the hips rotate a little bit from side to side. Then we'll all become still and we will stack our joints. So stacking the knee joint over the ankle joint and the hip over the knee, preparing for low lunge. The arms come up, the body's nice and perpendicular to the earth. Fingertips reach for the sky, maybe the gaze lifts. Bring the gaze through center. Now bring hands through prayer at heart center and check in with your hip bones. I'm going to turn this way so you can see what I mean. When we come into our low lunge, you want the hip bones to be on the same height this way and also this way, back and forth. So I'm a little high in this hip. I'll kind of exaggerate. I need to draw that down. As I do that, I have to get active through my glutes to help hold my legs in place, to help hold the hips there. And if I'm forward this way, I have to draw this hip back, this one forward. Now everything is squared up. And then I can re-add the arms, re-extend the arms, bring the gaze back through center, let my shoulders relax. Then bring your left hand down next to that right foot. We're going to take a twist. This is also another place where it's handy if you've got a prop. I'll show you the difference. If your hand is on the earth and you twist, there's no problem there. But if you have a block or something like a block, your body will have a little more lift and you'll feel a little more open. So neither is better than the other. It depends on what your body feels more comfortable in. You can let that go. I just want to show you something. I'm going to turn again so you can see. In that twist, we want to always keep an open heart. So our heart center is open. I'll show you when I'm twisted with my heart center kind of closed. What happens is my left shoulder will round forward and I want to draw it back. So if I'm in my twist and the left shoulder is rounded forward, I used a ponytail so you could see that. I'm closed through the front. My heart's closed. So I draw that shoulder back. I'll show you from the front. Again, if I'm in my twist, my shoulder's rounded forward. I want to draw it back and open it up. You may have seen I got a little more lift to my body as well. Now you can return your hand back down to the earth. I know I told you to come out of it, but you can come back into that twist. Curl through your toes. Lift, and then just draw that left foot forward. Fold in right away. Nice deep fold. Deep bend in the knees. Halfway lift your body. I'll turn to the side for you. Halfway lift so your body's parallel to the earth. Draw your shoulder blades towards your back. Shoulder blades come together, and then down the back, crown of the head is reaching for the front of the room. We'll bend the knees, fold back in. Halfway lift. Fold, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to downward dog again. We'll just take the other side. Get yourself set in your downward dog so your body feels comfortable and strong. Reaching the sits bones to the back of the room, gently tipping the tailbone if you feel like you have a curve to the low back. Lift through the left leg. Start to turn left toes toward the left. Feel like the whole leg is rotating through that hip socket on the right, and then the left foot is reaching for the back of your mat. Bend through your knee, either circle through the ankle or circle through the knee like you, or circle through the hip joint like you did on the other side. 3 times, come through center, be still. 3 times in the other direction. Be still, re-straighten the leg, re-square your hip bones to the earth, bend through the left leg, then bring the foot to between the hands, drop the right knee to the earth, uncurl the toes. Again, we're going to start to take movement. So if you use blocks or something like them, and you can always stop your video and just grab a prop that you think might work and kind of play around. I'll do this just by supporting myself on my leg, assuming that you don't have your props. And my legs are fairly stacked, my joints are fairly stacked. If I want to open up a little bit more, which I do, feeling a little tight in my hip flexors today, so I'll crawl that left foot forward, and I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure, a little bit of load to that left thigh or quad, so that I get more of a stretch through my right side. I'm going to bring the hands to the earth for support, kind of rock out through my hips, open them a little bit more. Then we'll come to stillness and stack again, so I'll draw that foot back. Knee to hip, knee to ankle. Inhale the arms up. I'll turn towards you. And then let's just check in with those hip bones. Bring your fingertips to the actual bones, not the outsides of the hips. Check side to side. I'm going to tilt this side down, activate my glutes, make my legs strong. Really ground through that foot, ground through the front side of the back foot so everything's pressing in. And then I feel like the inner line of my legs is drawing together, keep me really strong. This is very active. Inhaling the arms back up. Gaze lifts. Reach the fingertips to lengthen the side bodies. Bring your gaze through center. Let your shoulders relax. Bring hands back to prayer. Bring the right hand down inside the left foot. Take a twist to your left. Here, shoulder blade is rounded toward my center line. I want to draw it back to open my heart. Hand returns to the earth. Curl through toes. Gently start to straighten through that leg. Draw it forward. Come into deep forward fold, bent knees. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Bend your knees. Extend your arms out from your shoulders. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Hands meet overhead in prayer. Come down to heart center and then gently release. Sometimes after doing that work down on the floor and first kind of coming up and unbending through the knees, it feels nice to just release. So you can always bring your feet to about your mat's distance apart and just let things release. Allow your ankles to bend. Allow everything to just freely flow. And become still. We'll move through a few half sun salutations and then we'll come into high lunge. Come to the top of your mat. Bring your feet to hip bone distance apart and we'll stand in mountain pose. Grounding through the feet. Maybe wiggle the feet a little, get everything settled. Take a nice inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Let your body settle. Then begin to draw the kneecaps up toward the thighs. Gently engage through the legs while pressing through the feet. Engage through the glutes. Start to turn the arms toward the front of your mat. So we're rotating from the shoulders. The whole arm is rotating. And the palms begin to face the front of your mat. And then the chin draws back until the ears are aligned over the shoulders. This should feel nice and open for your breath. You can have eyes open or closed here. Then opening eyes. Inhale, arms up. Bring them together. Exhale, fold, bend through the knees. Hands come through prayer. Fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Extend arms out. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Hands meet overhead in prayer. Then return down to heart center. That was our first sun salutation. We'll just do one more. Releasing the hands. I'll do this from the front for you. Inhale. Exhale, fold, nice bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold, small bend in the knees, extending arms out from shoulders. Inhale, come all the way up to stand, keeping your neck and your spine one long line. Hands return down to prayer heart center and release. We'll move on, coming up into high lunge. Back at the top of your mat, inhale. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold and bend the knees. Gently plant your hands. Bring your right foot back, coming to the ball of the foot and the toes. Feet are parallel, all toes are facing forward. If you have any issues with your low back, you can bring one hand to the thigh, the other hand to the thigh, press into the thighs to lift the body, or you can just lift all the way up. A little wiggle in the foot there to get steady, that's okay. Now in your high lunge, you want your body to be perpendicular to the earth. If you have it perpendicular, but that leg can't be straight, it needs to be a little bent, that's perfectly fine. We also want to make sure hip bones face forward. So if you're starting to straighten that leg, but it causes the hip bones to turn to the side, rebend that knee, bring yourself back through center, nice and stable. And in your high lunge, feel like you're drawing the inner line of the legs together. And you may have to feel like you're drawing that. I just felt myself shift, so that's why I'm saying it. I need to draw this left hip bone back to stay nice and square to the front of the room. Biceps and ears gently align. Bring hands to prayer. Bring the right foot down to the earth and make the back line of that foot about parallel to the back of your mat. The front foot stays where it is. We're bringing a bend into that front knee. You may need to lengthen out a little bit. You want to keep the front knee over the first and second toe, and you want the front the front heel to be about aligned with the back arch. Then arms extend out from the shoulders. This is warrior two. You might have seen I made a little adjustment. I could feel that my spine, rather than being straight, was starting to turn. So I drew my right shoulder back. So there's a nice straight line from shoulder to shoulder, fingertips to fingertips. And if I were against a wall, my shoulder blades would be pressed against the wall, and the edges of these fingertips would also be pressed against the wall. So my heart is nice and open. My spine is nice and long. My body is perpendicular to the earth. From here we can reverse our warrior. The front palm flips to the sky. The back hand goes down the back leg. We keep that bend and then we start to tip. Fingertips reach for the sky. Sometimes that right shoulder will want to round forward. We want to keep it open. Round it back. Breathing here. Inhale yourself up. We'll move to side angle pose. Bend through that left arm. And start to draw the arm down toward the thigh, allowing it to rest when it arrives. First, let the fingertips reach for the sky. I like to start here because when we come into full side angle, which is here, a lot of times we come into it and we start to arch to the back. We don't want to do that. We want to keep a nice long spine. So if you start from here, feel again like you've got a wall behind you. You're drawing the shoulder blades onto the back so you have an open heart, a long spine. Then if you want to extend that arm toward the front of the room, nothing else in the body moves except that arm. Now I know I'm keeping my spine nice and neutral and long. Inhale yourself back up. Straighten through your front leg. That should feel like a nice break. Reverse your palm in the front. And we're moving into Sky Archer. The right hand goes down the right leg once again. Left fingertips reach for the sky. Breathing here. Again, check in with that right shoulder. Draw it back. Keep the heart open. Inhale through center. Now moving to triangle. Reach left fingertips forward. Right hip back. Begin to tip. Keeping a nicely aligned spine. Right fingertips reach for the sky. Now, if I want to go really deep into my triangle, you can see I've got a nicely aligned spine. I draw my shoulder blades toward one another. What happens sometimes if we come into our triangle too deeply, we come down and we start to round forward. Not good for the spine. If the spine is starting to round, you've gone too low. You need to come back up, re-straighten. If you can hold this and keep tipping, okay. Otherwise, don't do it. Bring a little bend to the knee, inhale yourself back up. Bring hands to prayer. Parallel your feet to the short edges of the mat. I'm going to show you this from the side. Paralleling the feet, we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. What we don't want to do is press the sits bones back. We want sits bones to stay aligned with the heels. So as we fold forward, the fold is coming just from here. The top of the body is moving, the bottom part of the body is not. We can start with hands in prayer. Make sure your toes are aligned. Feel the inner line of the legs drawing in together gently, and a nice activation through the glutes and through the core. Inhale here. Exhale, begin to fold forward. Your hands can come to a block or they can come down to the earth. Then start to take a little bit of movement from side to side to open up the inner line of the legs. The movement can be subtle, maybe just gentle from side to side, or it can become very deep. You may bring hands to prayer. Lift through the straight foot, or the foot of the straight leg. This is called Skandasana. You might have just heard a bone pop a little bit there. It actually felt nice, no worries. Come to stillness, re-parallel your feet. Bring your hands down to the earth under the shoulders. Then we're going to walk the hands forward, wider than the shoulders, keeping sits bones over the heels, pressing back through hands. We're in a wide-legged downward dog. Feel like you're drawing your belly towards your back body. Again, the inner line of the legs gently draw toward each other. Glutes are active. Ears are aligned with the biceps. Bring a little bend to the knees. Walk the hands back in toward under the shoulders. Then you're going to walk the hands around to the front of your mat, landing in a runner's lunge. Come up to fingertips. Feel like you're drawing left hip back, right hip forward. Then draw that right foot forward to meet the left. Fold in with the bent knees. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold, bend your knees, extend your arms out from shoulders. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. And hands return to prayer at heart center. And then release. We'll come back to the top of our mat. Again, standing in mountain pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift to lengthen. Extending that crown of the head to the front of the mat. Exhale, fold, little bend to the knees. Plant the hands, step the left foot back. Come to the ball of the foot and the toes. Feet are parallel. Toes all face forward. Coming up to high lunge. Maybe your hands come to the thighs for support. Otherwise, lift, inhale all the way up. Check in again with those hip bones. I'm fairly square. I've got to draw the left forward a little, the back right a little. My body's perpendicular to the earth. My leg is able to be straight. If not, I could bend it. Lifting through the arms, breathing here. High lunge. Bringing hands through prayer. Bring that back foot down to the earth. Check the alignment. If you've got to readjust your feet for Warrior Two, that's fine. So just aligning that back arch with the front heel. Front knee comes over the second and third toe. Back foot is parallel to the back of the mat. If you need to turn it in a little, on a little angle, if that feels better in your body, go ahead and do that. I stay parallel. I need to lengthen out. Sometimes I feel a little bit wider in my Warrior Two. Depends on what my legs need for the day. Arms extend out from shoulders, looking over front fingertips. Sometimes I'll just check to make sure that the line is straight from fingertips to fingertips. And breathe. Again, I check in with my shoulders to make sure shoulder blades are together to keep my open heart. If they're not, I'll turn to the side for you. If my shoulder blades are kind of apart, you can see the shoulders rounding forward a little. And I can feel my body is pitched at kind of a weird angle. So again, if you imagine you've got a wall behind you, draw the shoulder blades back. feel like they're pressing against the wall, and I can tell my head's a little forward as well. I'm going to draw that back and then bring my gaze over my fingertips. From here, we can reverse our warrior. I'm just going to turn to the front for you. So bending into that front knee again for warrior two, reversing the right palm, and then reaching right fingertips for the sky. Left hand comes to that back of the leg. Breathing here. Drawing that left shoulder onto the back for an open heart. Inhale up. Moving to side angle. Bend through that right elbow. Start to place that forearm on the thigh. Reach left fingertips for the sky. Don't let that right shoulder blade, her shoulder, come forward. Draw it back. Keep the heart open. Check that the shoulder blades are toward one another, like you're leaning against a wall. Then you can reach left fingertips forward. Don't move any other part of the body. If you'd like to challenge yourself, you can hover that forearm or extend the arm out. Inhale all the way up to stand warrior two again. Straighten through that leg and take sky archer. Flip the front palm. Tip back. And again, it doesn't matter how far you're tipped back. You want to be comfortable in this pose. Inhale back up. And taking triangle. Reaching fingertips forward, hips back. Beginning to tip. Keeping a nice open heart, shoulder blades gently drawn back. Your gaze can be toward fingertips. Your gaze can be through center. Or your gaze can be at the earth. Take whatever feels best on your own neck. A little bend to that front knee. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Rebend the knee. No, we did sky archer. Don't rebend the knee. Bringing the knee back to warrior two. Bring hands to prayer. Bring your gaze through center. Parallel your feet for a wide-legged forward fold. We'll take a different arm variation this time, and we're not going to take that movement through the legs. Let's extend arms out from shoulders. Palms face forward. Inhale, maybe take a very small micro back bend, but get strong through the glutes, strong through your core first. So inhale, little back bend, strong through the quads. Exhale, begin folding forward, keeping arms out until you reach the deepest point of your fold. Then let them release, bring them down to the earth. Now there are a few different arm variations we can take here. You can grab a hold of the ankles or the outsides of the calves. You can bring hands down to the earth between the feet, fingertips forward or fingertips back. You can take your first, second finger and your thumb and grab a hold of the first toe, big toe on each foot. Whatever arm variation you choose, imagine that on your inhales, you're lengthening your spine. And on your exhales, you're folding in more deeply. And we'll hold here for about 5 breaths. Allow everything to be heavy in the top part of your body for the moment. And then begin to feel like you're drawing your shoulder blades together on your back and down your back so that you create nice space around your neck. You'll be much more active in the upper part of your body. You're working those upper back muscles. If you've got a hold of the big toes, you're also working the arms quite nicely. Gently releasing your hands to back under the shoulders wherever you were holding on. Coming back under the shoulders, bring a little bend to the knees. Again, walk the hands around to the front of your mat. Parallel your feet like they're on train tracks. Toes are all facing forward. Bending into the front knee. Inhale the left foot forward to meet the right. Come into a nice deep forward fold with deeply bent knees. Give yourself a moment or two to breathe there. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold, extend arms back out from shoulders. You can have a bend to the knees or no bend, it's up to you. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Hands meet overhead in prayer. Release down to heart center. And then fully release. Come back to the mat. That was really quick. um, we're going to come down to our mat. Inhale. Exhale. Let's bring hands to prayer as we fold in, folding with nicely bent knees. Inhale, halfway lift to lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bring a little bend to the knees. Plant your hands on the earth. Step back to downward facing dog. Get yourself comfortably adjusted. Take about 3 resting breaths here. Come forward to high plank. Drop your knees down to the earth. Uncurl your toes. Press through hands. Reach with your tailbone back to child's pose. Allow your head to be heavy and relaxed. When you arrive at your deepest point of child's pose, tent through your fingers. Continue pressing through fingertips to keep lengthening the spine. Give yourself a breath or two here. Release your forearms down to the earth. Let your head relax. Again, if you have a block, you can always bring your head to a block to keep a little extra length in the cervical spine. Then release your arms long behind you. Bring the tops of the hands down to the earth. Let everything completely relax. And just breathe. Bring hands under shoulders. Press up to table. Then just bring yourself to your sits bones, to your mat. Come all the way down to your back. And we'll bring our feet to hip bone distance apart. Setting up as though we're going to take bridge pose. But instead of taking bridge pose, we're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee. Taking figure 4 to begin to open up through the hips. Give them a little bit of a release. Keeping the right foot active, if you like, you can interlace hands behind the back of the left leg or the front of the left shin. That'll be more deep. You'll really feel that through the right hip. Drawing the knee in toward the body. Taking a few breaths. You can straighten through the left leg if you'd like. Rock a little to your left. Come through center, rebend the knee, bring the foot back down to the earth. Release it, release the right ankle. Then cross left ankle over right knee, doing the same thing on this side. Drawing the knee up to the body. Sometimes one side is tighter than the other, so you may want to go more deeply or less deeply on this side. I think I need a little more stretch here, so I'm going to grab a hold of the front of my shin. It's definitely deeper in the left side right now. If on the other side you straighten through the leg, you can straighten through the leg, give a little rock over to the right. You probably feel that in the left. Come back through center, rebend your knee. Allow it to return to the earth. Allow the left foot to return to the earth. Separate your feet about mat's distance apart. Reset your pelvis so you feel comfortably square on the earth. Rock your legs over to the left. Extend your arms out from your shoulders. And if it's comfortable, you can take a look over towards the right fingertips, giving yourself a little bit more of a twist through the body. Inhale your gaze through center first, then knees come back through center, then knees shift over to the right, feeling that twist. Again, if you'd like to deepen a bit, the gaze can look over the left fingertips. It can feel nice to have eyes closed at this point. Inhaling the gaze through center. Then inhaling the knees through center, bring them back to hip bone distance, reset yourself again. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Maybe circle a little bit through the ankles. Give the toes a little bit of movement as well. Gently let go of the legs. Rock yourself over to your left side. Give yourself a breath there. Press yourself up to an easy seat, either cross-legged or just sitting on the calves. Bring hands to prayer at heart center. Gently bow in. Allow yourself a nice inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Thank you all so much for joining me in this 4th class. I hope to see you very soon again in the future. Have a peaceful, joyful day. Stay happy, stay healthy. Namaste. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.